So, you know what? Bring us those picks and bans, please. Do it. Do it. Yeah. Got him. Left side is going to be NRG. They'll see if they can fix anything. Are you embarrassed?
No, I just think that it would have been funnier if we just did it the one time and then didn't like drive it home again. It would have been like a funny one-off, but then we kind of buried it.
Well, why'd you make me do that then?
I didn't make you do anything.
I don't understand this guy whatsoever. He's a Minute Maid guy. Fafnir and Osiris going to be banned out here. NRG looking for a second ban.
Fafnir, yeah, I like this ban because not only iRaffer could first pick it, but BigManTingz, one of the better Fafnirs. Basically, every EU support has Fafnir in their god pool. Ganesh is just, to me, a throwaway ban from NRG. They're saying, we don't really know exactly what you want. We kind of have an idea of what we want. This is a good god. We don't need him. Yeah. You're not going to play him either.
Yeah, I don't think iRaffer wanted to first pick the Ganesh, so we'll see something different here. In fact, NRG are going to go with the way of the Chronos to first pick. Now, it's interesting. I don't think that Cernunnos is a character that necessarily deserves the first pick, but one, you take it away from Funball, and two, you enable emilitoo, the guy who kept you in the game last game.
Yeah, I agree. I like this pick, and probably a lot of fans saying, why not put emilitoo back on Hui Yi? And while I agree with that to some degree, I think the Cernunnos, like you mentioned, keeping it away from Funball is pretty important. Now we're going to see, now we're going to see the reverse. Can Funball be the one finding those triple ricochets?
Yes, he can. He's shown us in the past, so this is just as scary. But adapting does get his Thor. I remember last game I asked you, you know, is Dimi, is this still his signature? That will always just be adapting signature Thor.
Always. I mean, this is a character that you can always go back to. It's like riding a bike, basically. Those auto-cancel ultimate full combos. It's ingrained in adapting's memory. I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be in top form on this Thor.
Yeah, I mean, adapting came through in the era where Thor was baby's first jungler. Whenever you look at the jungle position, you learn on the Thor. He brings a lot of quintessential. He brings a lot of what you need in the jungle. Engaged, a little bit tanky, a little bit control, a little bit damage, kind of just a jack of all trades, similar to what adapting kind of wants to do here, just want to cover all the bases.
Thor can do it all out of that jungle role, and I really just can't anticipate a meta where with Thor having this particular kit, he still wouldn't be good because he just brings so much to your team. Long range poke, all in potential, distance, CC from a distance, a semi-global ultimate. I mean, he checks all the boxes you need in order to be a relevant character.
Guan Yu banned out, and I found that kind of interesting from Eanix. That's a little insight into NRG and what they do. We know that Dimi likes to play that character, but we haven't seen it in a while.
No, we haven't. Just Eanix throwing a shot in the dark and saying that maybe we've heard this is what NRG's playing, maybe we've been practicing against NRG, we know they're comfortable on it. Naja, the selection for Faeles, I absolutely love it. I mean, this is a character that is so prevalent nowadays and can really make that big impact. Really like this selection.
Yeah, Naja is, listen, game number 1, all right, Faeles, come assist us and set us up. Game number 2, Faeles, you've earned it.
Yeah.
Your turn now. Pick up the Naja. This is a flashy character. He brings a lot of bang. He is tougher to play when the team is behind, not necessarily when the character is behind. And if that happens, maybe we'll have that conversation. Ooh. But looking at what Naja is going into, I think he's going to have a lot of fun.
This is a risky team composition from Eanix, but one that could absolutely snowball their way to victory.
Sure.
Ares, if you can get BigManTingz a lead on this character, that Chronos almost certainly in the mid lane there for Yammyn with that Chronos pickup for emilitoo. We've seen NRG do this pretty consistently, where they pick the Chronos early and then a Magical Hunter late. Eanix decided not to ban away Chronos or Freya, so NRG got their choice. Lot of opportunity for these chains to make a big impact. I'm looking at Dimi not having a CC immune ultimate. I'm looking at adapting getting crippled out. Yammyn not having a CC immune ultimate. iRaffer not having a CC immune ultimate. All these characters have dashes as well. But Ducky's got to be careful here. I don't know exactly what ability Dimi has right now, but clearly was enough to knock Ducky pretty low.
He's just basic attacking with the doggo. He's got Bobo there. He didn't even use the pin. There's going to be a nice back, and he will get out of there. No problem. Still just hanging out in the enemy jungle. Dimi said, listen, you put me down game number 1. Game number 2, get out of here.
No, I don't blame him. That usually a chance for redemption is exactly what players of this caliber are looking for after a tough game like Dimi had in game number 1.
Right now, though, there's that ring bounce. So recently changed, I guess, but Naja always has had a decent amount of pressure in the early game. However, when you're matched with that Cernunnos Thor, a little bit too much. emilitoo and iRaffer are going to start up at that red buff, so allow him to get a little bit more oomph there in the long lane. And the invade coming out from NRG on the right side of the map, predictable and successful.
And now it looks like Adapting is going to be able to pick up that blue buff as well. So Ducky definitely a little bit more mana intensive than he was on the Osiris in game 1. Faeles and Lawbster boxing with iRaffer and emilitoo to try and get control of these oracles. They will get split down the middle, but it's a good, wise decision to not go for the fight there by Eanix.
Adapting missing the hammer and the Zerkers, but able to at least transition the damage on that second ability onto the wave there. Left side, a lot of pressure coming out from Eanix.
Certainly not the start that that Eanix got off to in game 1 with that early level lead onto Faeles, down a little bit right now to Adapting, and there's not a whole lot of neutral jungle camps left. In fact, 0 outside of those left side mid harpies.
So this Chronos here is a very interesting character. We don't see much Chronos at all, but I actually, as he finds damage onto BMT and forces BigManTingz' Bracer of Undoing, I think Chronos is still an actual relatively formidable character as iRaffer gets hit by the ricochet.
I agree with you. I mean, Chronos definitely lost a lot in terms of losing Faeles on the Accelerate, but gains extra power now. I mean, he's got even more power on his auto attacks, and that fourth quadrant of Accelerate is, you know, as if he wasn't doing enough damage there already. He could certainly be that late game carry still. Just a little bit less safe in the lane, a little bit less safe in the team fights, but someone as versed as emilitoo on this character is still going to be able to use that rewind effectively. You still get increased movement speed with the Accelerate to let you move around a little bit easier, and Faeles is now worth buying on characters, so with that extra pen, so you're going to be able to get that okay.
Yeah, once Chronos reaches his level 4, he's able to really clear the wave for free, essentially, just the cost of an Accelerate, and all of his abilities wind up giving his mana back. Jump forward from Funballer. He finds the stun on the iRaffer, who's playing it relatively fast and loose here in this lane. iRaffer staying low, just kind of trusting the HP coming out from Lonos and Watchers. Trying
to use that Bracer to bait someone from Eanix in this duo lane. If BigManTingz was a little bit quicker, then could have followed up on that stun with a chain. Could have been a first blood even through the Bracer of Undoing. But either way, Eanix at least has pressure in one lane, and it's usually not the lane with an Ares that you expect to have the pressure, but BigManTingz can rotate towards mid and transition that lead towards Lawbster in the mid lane, try and knock down Yammyn. That'd be a big boost for Eanix.
So looking still at this dual lane matchup, the Chronos versus the Hou-Yi, I think Chronos kind of owns this early game. He really swings hard with his time rift and his time stop. And then as the game hits the mid game, he's still kind of there in the ahead. And late game, I think Funball will match emilitoo on the Chronos. We all look at Chronos as his ultimate super hyper late game carry, but Hou-Yi also does the swinging as well. So I think early and mid kind of belong to the Chronos. Late, we're looking at more of a tie.
I think that it's going to be a little bit more emilitoo for now, then Funball will take the lead as he maxes out Ricochet, and then once emilitoo gets Mayhems online, that'll be him starting to take the lead once more.
Yeah, I think that's a really big deal. Ducky in trouble here, right-hand side. Dimi getting the better of him, goes right up in the cloud, and Adapting couldn't make it to the sky. Ducky falls down and puts him in the dirt. Eanix again. First blood on the scene.
Great turnaround there. That looked like NRG was going to take it because of a perfect wall from Adapting, preventing Ducky's escape. But even without the ultimate from Faeles, still enough to find that kill. Not only the kill, the first blood, but the purification beads as well. So that means that Adapting is going to be very vulnerable to Faeles' aggression for the next 2 minutes.
They're going to stop Faeles right there, so aggression or nah, still going to go ahead and get looked at. Right side, there is a teleport coming in from Ducky, and I like this play. He teleports in the jungle so that Dimi doesn't actually know he's here. Had he TP'd to the tower, well, everybody would have known it. Doesn't really get anything off of it, but always stay slippery. There's no reason to give your opponent any information that they don't already have. And like I said, that, no impact, but just getting in the habit of making plays like that really just makes everything a little bit more safe for you.
But Ducky is going to have some trouble in this lane now as Dimi is starting to reach the higher levels. See how much 72 transformations is going to clear the wave pretty easily. Ducky is starting to max out his abilities as well, so he's going to have an easier time clearing moving forward as well.
Here, right side, still Faeles in his own jungle. Faeles in the enemy jungle, excuse me, trying to exit. Brought down to 60% and quickly chased away as the enemy by Ducky. Good job keeping Dimi out of the hair of his jungler. Faeles will go ahead and pick up the gremlins.
Faeles did use the purification beads after the taunt from Dimi, though, so as likely as it is that adapting falls while he's vulnerable, you could say the same about Faeles because there's plenty of CC on NRG's roster to lock down a Naja, who really does struggle against compositions that can lock him down pretty easily, relies on purification beads and movement speed pretty heavily, especially in the early stages where you're not going to fully one-shot someone with that Windfire wheels.
Yeah, when it comes down to the Naja ultimate, you're really looking for help from your other players. And Faeles and Lawbster, while they have great early game push synergy, and that's what allowed Eanix to sort of get off the ground, they do not have the traditional up-down ultimate synergy. Nice wall from adapting to cut off the aggression out of Ducky and Faeles.
It can be a little bit awkward because of the way that Stellar Burst and Supernova interact. It's very difficult to time throwing out that Supernova and having that damage hit at the same time as a Stellar Burst. You actually have to drop the ultimate before the 2 on Soul in order to follow up on Naja ultimate, whereas you're usually looking to set up your Supernova with the Stellar Burst.
Or you can just Kraken them.
Yeah, but Poseidon's not in this game. No one has a Kraken on Eanix. Who do you think, you think Ares is just going to release a Kraken?
No, Ryan, thank you. My point being is that the difference in jungle mid synergy when you're comparing to a character like Poseidon or a Thoth or a Ra.
I understand what you're saying now, but iRaffer's in trouble.
Call this team fight.
Okay, iRaffer gets pulled in, but the Suns come down. Faeles immediately going to go up into that ultimate. Adapting does find Ducky, and iRaffer still alive as he comes crashing down, finds a big root, and that's a double dunk from Adapting.
Big damage out of Yammyn as well. Taking down Faeles, number 2 for NRG. And emilitoo out of the long lane, making his rotation and his presence known here in the mid lane. Just a couple of basics, waiting to see if Eanix still want to continue the fight. And if they do, emilitoo and Yammyn will collapse right into the mid lane. The double basic attack characters will instead retreat into their respective jungles. Left for emilitoo, right for the other guy. emilitoo will look for the Oracles, and the other guy will look for the Gremlins.
Look at iRaffer's build. He just got Boots 1. He had no mobility outside of the additional bit of movement speed from Winged Blade.
What?
But all that HP that he had is what saved his life in that scenario. If he's going for that double starter or triple starter
or
with the Watras, yeah. 4 starters.
Can we call Lotus a starter for the Quadra starter?
Masks are a different beast because they're 500 gold instead of 800. So I don't think it's necessarily
Where does
fair.
when you click starter items, does Lonos mask show up?
It does, but
so it's a Quadra starter here.
I'm not pleased with this development. I'm sure Eanix isn't pleased that iRaffer survived because they invested a lot into him and had to group up because of it. Allowed iRaffer to find that 4-man root, I believe, as he escaped. And again, that effective HP ending up saving iRaffer's life in that scenario. And that grouped up sort of team fight is where Eanix wants NRG to be, especially in the jungle. Look at how much AoE that Eanix has to boast, but just wasn't enough to find the kill there.
You know, I think if Lawbster, emilitoo, Faeles looking for the chase, gets it with the movement speed from the ring bounce, finds the stun, won't find anything else after, hangs on to the ultimate. Adapting doesn't, however, uses his safely. Here comes the initiation. It's Faeles looking, misses the ring bounce this time around. emilitoo and iRaffer have him dead to rights. Couple of basics, but Dimi's coming in from the back line, dashing forward. The ultimate used by Faeles defensively. The Suns are dropped, but Dimi gonna outlast them both. iRaffer gets the kill onto Faeles.
Now Funball's the one who's in a little bit of trouble. emilitoo doesn't have that rewind. He's 1 HP. He's the one who's taking the tower. And so Funball's gonna get a kill in the 1v3.
BigManTingz here. He's just an Ares, but still has to be respected. Dimi finds the root, and that will defuse that situation.
No blink for BigManTingz. Instead, it's gone for the Bracer of Undoing. So he needs to wait until level 12 if he wants to try and initiate the fights for Eanix. Eanix's initiation right now is not very good, and I think that's a big reason why they're struggling early on in this game. But once BigManTingz and Faeles to level 12, you expect both of them to be picking up blink. All of a sudden, their initiation gets way, way better.
Yeah, that's kind of, so the lack of initiation and the lack of the synergy coming out from the mid-jungle combination is really what's going to cause Eanix some problems staying relevant in this early and mid-game. But as you said, the later the game goes, these things become less relevant, and it all just becomes about the general team fight. Going back to that iRaffer play for just one moment, had Lawbster been playing virtually any other character, let's say Sans the Morrigan or Nuwa, that's a dead iRaffer.
Maybe, I mean, Supernova does a plenty of damage. I mean, it is good follow-up for Naja ultimate. Yeah, it's not Kraken, but Soul also brings more to the rest of the team fights when her ultimate is down that Poseidon does not. I've got no problem with the Soul pick. I think it synergizes enough with that mid laner. It's just that Soul takes a little bit longer to become relevant in the damage department than a character like Poseidon. So, whereas if iRaffer gets hit by that ultimate combination now, he likely dies because Lawbster has finished off those pen boots and is working on a Bancroft's Talon.
So, when it comes down to it, yeah, I think in the early game, I don't have a problem with the Soul pickup specifically. Well, Adaption's going to pick up Soul. Specifically because in the late game, a tiny window is all Eanix needs. Faeles, Lawbster, and Funball kill towers in an instant when the game gets a little bit later. I think that's what Eanix is really leaning on.
I mean, they've got to lean on Faeles to do a little bit better right now because he's still only level 9. Adapting is level 13.
Ouch.
On this Thor.
Hasn't even seemed like he's been running the game.
I mean, he's been all over the place. He's been a part of 3 out of NRG's 4 kills. Only one I don't think he was a part of was on that duo lane side when Faeles got dove. It's kind of what you expect out of a Naja that's behind. Just very difficult to stay up in terms of farm. Yeah, Naja's clear is pretty good, but with the semi-global ultimate from the Thor, the fact that Faeles has not been able to get any speed buffs. We saw Adapting get his speed buff invaded pretty consistently in game 1, but was still able to stay close and farm. Can't really say the same about this game, despite the fact that Adapting is actually below Faeles in player damage by 700. I mean, Faeles is pretty significantly up in that department, but
that's
farm a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's the entire reason that we see Faeles down so much is that he's trying to do, he understands that basically the early game Eanix is looking at, all right, Naja, do your thing, deliver the mid game to sort of Ducky and this Lawbster will kind of float in the mid game, and then late game, well, we already talked about it. So that's kind of the game plan, and Eanix here, their jungler, he's trying so hard to make these ganks, to make these plays, and because of that, he's being distracted from where his farm is in the jungle, Adapting able to take it away, and I mean, at the end of the day, these ganks don't win the game for you. You've got to stick around and stay reasonably fed, and you got to look for the stuff in the jungle. Big ticketed Lawbster right there is NRG on the right side quietly take down the Portal Demon.
Dimi zones out Ducky nicely, and that does go down in NRG's favor as iRaffer pops the ultimate. Ducky is a little bit scared there and goes up into an ultimate of his own.
Hanging out. Just hanging out. He'll be fine. Although he'll be aggressed on by iRaffer, but lonely. Lonely iRaffer. Adapting here. Looking for stuff on the left side. emilitoo going very deep. Finds a stun on the Faeles, and Adapting looking to separate the rest of the team. emilitoo brings Faeles into half HP. Very low is the Chronos player. There goes the rewind. He'll rewind successfully, but still in a bad spot. Gets hit by the long-range ultimate out of Faeles, and that'll bring emilitoo down to about half HP. The response on the bottom is good as Yammyn takes down Faeles, and Adapting takes down Funball. 2 players down on the side of Eanix. Faeles hoped his teammates would follow up, but it was NRG that followed up instead. iRaffer gets pulled by BigManTingz, but likely not to fall.
Lawbster gets very low. Dimi immediately aggressing onto him. Ducky isn't going to be able to stay up. BigManTingz is going to claim one, but he thought iRaffer was dead. He thought that last tick of the flames was good, and it wasn't. iRaffer escapes. Lawbster does not. That's his second death as Dimi and Adapting combine to dive him under to that tier 1.
And Yammyn the whole way through objective-minded. The first one was Portal Demon, the second one was the tier 1 tower, and the third will be the Oracles. I don't think he's wild enough to think about the Gold Fury after this one, but NRG, fantastic attention to objectives. 5K in the lead now, just off of a couple of simple plays.
Look at that damage, that team fight recap. The damage is in Eanix's favor. How much of that was on emilitoo before he rewound?
Yeah.
A lot of it. I mean, a full commit onto emilitoo before that rewind came off. Lawbster dropped the ultimate, and it was just not enough to finish him off. I mean, Adapting came up huge in that team fight. You could see whenever Faeles was up in the ultimate, it was Adapting just waiting for him, the same part of the sky, waiting for Faeles to come back down, who had already lost his purification beads. NRG looking angry in this game, and really one member in particular, and that's Adapting. He was done losing this set. I don't know if Adapting just likes Rival more or likes Eanix less, but he definitely does not want to see Eanix at LAN.
Yeah, no, not going to happen. Adapting has his way. Gold Fury half HP already. Down to the guys by NRG, but they'll leash it. As Eanix shows their face, Terra ultimate means go, and that's going to be the push forward. BigManTingz grabs a couple with the chains, but not enough damage. Wasn't expecting the pulls there, I don't think, from Eanix. And so they play it safe. BigManTingz 40%, and NRG still going to push forward.
iRaffer gets stunned out, and he's the one in trouble now. Bracer going to help him out for the moment. Still able to escape. Very tanky. Finishing off that Gauntlet of Thebes. Meanwhile, NRG still on this Gold Fury. emilitoo's the one here. Adapting, looking for the dunk. Can't quite find it on a Ducky. The stun and double tap is good, and Ducky's gonna fall.
Adapting, just controlling the situation. Ducky falls down, as does the Gold Fury. And that pays off for NRG. They're still ahead by an absorbent amount. Almost 10,000 gold here. 7,400 to be exact. And 16 minutes in, that's a very, 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 very big deal.
A very tough window for Eanix to get through if they want to find their way to DreamHack Valencia now. And Faeles, I still believe, is only level 11 last time we checked in, whereas Adapting now level 16. He is getting more than a level a minute. Really difficult to try and keep up with Adapting when he's this far ahead.
You know what's interesting, Ryan? We always talk about Naja being tough to play from behind, and I don't think so much it's the when the character is behind. I mean, sure, any god it's hard to play from behind, but I think it's Naja can still do kind of what he needs to, long range poke with the ring toss and take a member of the enemy team out. When your team is behind, that prevents Naja from doing what he wants to do. When he takes somebody up and he comes down, we saw what happened when the team is behind. NRG's able to push Eanix out and wait at the bottom instead of his own team. When you get collapsed on, your abilities, the ultimate and the sash, it's only one person, it's not multiple players, so you're gonna hit somebody you don't want to. It's just when your team is behind, you can't play Naja effectively, and that's what we're seeing at a Faeles. His team's down 8K, and in this scenario, Naja, oh, never mind.
emilitoo does get the rewind off. iRaffer throughout the ultimate as well. Here comes the rotation. emilitoo trying to take this 2v1, use the Aegis to buy himself a moment. Up goes Adapting, looking for the kills under the tower.
Trying to figure out where he wants to go. Just goes to the minions. Tier 1, Tier 2, jungle, Tier 1. All right, we'll do the lane.
Minions, but a two-man stun, two-man double tap. Adapting in some trouble, but that ultimate from Lawbster off the mark.
Dimi and iRaffer from behind, and that's going to be enough to put down Faeles. BigManTingz looking for the pull grabs too, but it's a little bit too late there. Pushed off the tower, Ducky the only one alive, and that's just for the moment. As iRaffer gets another kill. That's 2-0 and 6 for the UK support player. 18 minutes in, emilitoo's just happy to get out of the team fight alive, but the left tower looks like it's likely to fall at the hand of Dimi and Yammyn.
This was the difference in these two games. The right side of the map in game 1 for NRG got dominated. In game 2, they are dominating. Ooh. Adapting with another kill. That's a dozen for NRG. I don't think Lawbster's gonna last much longer. He gets dove underneath that tower. Double for Adapting. That's 6 for him. And NRG are just taking it to Eanix right now up over 11,000 gold.
This one's really rough for me, Aggro, especially because of the conversation that we had in game number 1 as emilitoo clears out the Tier 2 split push. Shouts to Chronos' fantastic ability at shredding towers. Listen, this one comes down to the jungle for me, unfortunately. Faeles just did not do the job that he was required to do in this game, in the early game, and that allowed NRG and, more importantly, Adapting specifically to springboard.
I mean, Lawbster also fell behind very early on. It was everywhere but the left side of the map, and that's pretty similar to what we saw in game 1, just reversed. It was Eanix who was ahead everywhere but the duo lane, and emilitoo couldn't make it happen. Now it's time to see if Funballer can on the Hu Yi, but there's a much larger deficit than emilitoo had to worry about in game number 1. Eanix just really fell apart, and again, it was Dimi didn't get bullied early on. He picked the bully character this time around. It was the speed buff invades on a Faeles, and you can see the difference in experience. Faeles was invading Adapting speed. Adapting didn't fall thousands of gold behind, was within a level or 2, was always pretty close. Eanix, they get their speed buff invaded. Adapting just skyrockets in farm. Faeles just can't quite find any for himself, and that's the big difference.
Lawbster under the tower, likely to fall to the hand of iRaffer. As the support chases them down. BigManTingz getting chunked out. Big help from Adapting. And BigManTingz will get the pull, but that's about it. Follow-up kill likely to come here. It's Adapting, and it gets it. Faeles goes up, Faeles comes down, and who's at the bottom?
No
the
way.
Entirety of NRG. And iRaffer laughing his way to the bank, still
no
alive.
way. Okay, finally someone found him, but at the cost of 4 members of Eanix. Now Dimi teleporting to that left side to stop the split push coming from Funball. Even with Funball backing, he's not going to be here in time to defend this Phoenix. Another one goes down. The right side, the first one to fall in game 2.
Game number 1, emilitoo gets that tier 2 and solos the solo laner that teleports over.
Yeah.
Funball has to back early. You know, oh man, I take no pleasure in sort of pointing the fingers, but that's what we're here to do and sort of analyze. And I think Lawbster falls behind because Faeles falls behind. I think it's all comes down to the jungle, and not because Faeles does things. It comes down to decision making is what I'm trying to say here, Ryan. I think Faeles tried to do too much early on and just forewent the jungle farm in lieu of trying to make the ganks.
Okay, so we've been talking about how the meta has shifted more towards the late game, and that's true. However, Bellona, Osiris, Erlang, Shen, gods like this are still dominating the solo lane early to mid game, and it's been focused on those right side invades. All of Eanix just couldn't, the Eanix's 3v3 or 4v4 on the right side of the map just could not contest with NRGs in the early game, and that was the big difference. There was just no ability for Eanix to fight back on that right-hand side of the map, and where we have seen teams as of late take those beatings on the right side and then transition it into mid-game Gold Furies, we just never saw it go that way. Eanix could have given up one of those speed buff invades and gone for a Gold Fury instead. They were just hell-bent on trying to defend it, and it never worked out anyways.
NRG pushing up into the mid lane, right side Phoenix already down. Mid Phoenix gonna fall down as well, just like Ducky. And just like that, NRG with the Fire Giant in hand, looking for what could be the win here. And I think that's absolutely what we're looking at. Game 1 went to Eanix in spades. NRG taking it easy here and looking for the 3rd Phoenix.
Just trying to make sure that Titan is as squishy as possible. No additional protections or HP for Eanix's hopes and dreams riding on this Titan defense, but already getting pretty low here, F-Dot.
Faeles looking for help here, 25% HP on the objective. Faeles whiffs the ultimate again! And unfortunately for Eanix, their dreams of Valencia will be crushed, and NRG continue doing what they're known to do.
NRG getting a point here, so they haven't secured exactly where their seed is going to be. It depends on what Obey does against Dignitas later on today to finish off, but unfortunate set of circumstances for Eanix. Like I said, they got off to such a good start at the beginning of the summer split, but I think that, you know, while this is a tough blow to take, and Eanix is filled with a team with a lot of veterans and also a lot of new faces, can be difficult to just look at the silver lining, but this is the summer split. It's not that important if your goal is Worlds. Fall split is where you're going to make your hay. And Eanix with a little bit of a little bit more practice, a little bit more cohesion there, there's absolutely a team that can contend for Worlds.
Yeah, and understanding Lawbster and Funball and where they come from, I think it's a harder hit for players like Ducky and players like Faeles, I think, to look back at this. But understanding that Lawbster is on that sort of roster, I think that he'll be able to look at the bigger picture and help out his rookies there in that regard.
That's what you have your veterans for, right? Yeah. Anytime you see it all the time, not only in games and competitive games, but everything. When you're younger and new to things, everything's the end of the world. You know, you fail one test, it's the end of the world. You know, everything's going to be horrible from here on out. And then you realize, looking back, that it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. There's still bigger goals down the road for this team.
Exactly, with Worlds certainly being the choice going forward. I think that the big picture is still intact for Eanix. NRG, however, a lot of people, the conversation earlier in the year was, are they slipping? Are they gone? Is it? But well, I don't think so. Game number 2 right there. I think game number 1, sure. But game number 2 right there shows that, look, when we need to win, we can win.
Exactly, and they still have that, you know, you poke the bear enough, they get angry, and all of a sudden it's all over from there. These guys were all over the place, adapting in particular on this Thor. Like we said, it's a signature Thor. He doesn't always pull it out, but when he does, it's ready to go.
Yeah, and I kind of respect that. You know, I don't think every game needs to be won, if that makes any sense. I don't think that every game needs the big old W, and I think it's worth flexing the God pool and, more importantly, having this, I can win any game I need to on this Thor. I'm sure we've seen him lose like last week on the Thor, but when it comes down to it, recent memory, adapting just wins on Thor.
He always has. There's a big reason why, as you mentioned, this is a signature god for him. He was all over the place. It wasn't only him, though. It was him and Dimi combining on that right-hand side.
That play right there where he doesn't even think about Faeles. He hears the ring bounce. He just goes, all right, I'm going to hit beads. And then just continues his reign of terror. Faeles tries to get him with the but it just doesn't. He's like, yeah, I hit beads. Faeles is somewhere to his back left. Look, so there's a Naja. Beads, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing.
Little, shoe fly, don't bother me. I'm busy right now.
Yeah, just taking care of business. And that's exactly what him and NRG do. Winning game number 2, ending up with a split between Eanix 1-1. We've got 2 more games coming at you. Stay tuned to hi-rez TV.
Need to confess. Need to confess. Need to confess. Need to confess.